Okay, so let's go over section 6.1 called Solving Equations by Using Inverse Operations. The learning outcome for this lesson is to model and solve problems using linear equations in various forms. So I just grabbed a picture off of Google that is solving an equation by using inverse operations. So I want you to think back to the algebra that you practiced in Math 8, and that's basically what we're going to do for this section. It's not stuff that you haven't seen before. So first of all, it goes through in your booklet. They want you to think about undoing what happened, okay? So they start off with this example that says, look at the equation 2x plus 5 equals 13. And they ask you, how was it built? So they say start with x, okay? So x is the unknown right here. And then they said, okay, so look at the things that are happening to x. Here it is, okay? They're saying, look at the things that happen to x. Okay, so they're saying, first of all, we had x, and then now it says 2x. Well, how do you get x from 2x? You multiply by 2. So that's the first thing that happened. We multiplied by 2, okay? So we had x, and then to make it 2x, multiply by 2. And then we're adding 5, okay? Which they're showing you here. So to end up with, starting with x and ending up with 2x plus 5, you are going to first multiply by 2 and then add 5, okay? So it says to solve the equation, what you do is you undo the operations in reverse order. Okay, so if we're at 2x plus 5, what we're going to do is we are going to subtract 5, okay? And remember the question was 2x plus 5 equals 13. So right here, here's where the 2x plus 5 is the same as 13. And the way they're showing you that is that they are in the same place, okay? So 2x plus 5 is above 13. So that's where they're saying that 2x plus 5 equals 13. So remember, when we built it, we added 5, so subtract 5. So if 2x plus 5 is the same as 13, well, if you added 5 to build the 2x plus 5, subtract 5 from the 13 to get 8. And then remember, we multiplied by 2. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So if we have 8, we get down to 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we know our answer is x equals 4. Now, this is kind of a complicated way to do algebra, but have a look over here. Kind of the same thing happened. And remember from Math 8, think about your left side, right side. And remember, if you were in my Math 8 class, I asked you to put a line down the equation. So we're starting with 2x plus 5 is 13. We have to get rid of this positive 5. How do we do that? We subtract 5. But if you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other. So 5 minus 5 disappears, leaving the 2x. 13 minus 5 is 8. Okay? Then I want to get x by itself, so we will divide by 2. You do it to one side, you do it to the other. So that's where we end up with this x is 4, just like over here in this sort of funky way that they solved it. So algebra is about inverse operations, and inverse is just another way of saying opposite. Okay? So remember that the opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Okay? So here's where they say, for example, addition and subtraction are inverse operations. All right, so let's go through this first check, and it says let n represent a number. 2 less than a number is 10. What is the number? So they've got this guided practice or guided solution going here, and they say let n represent the number they're showing you here is an n. And then they're saying 2 less than a number is 10, okay? 2 less means subtract. So 2 less than a number, we would write n minus 2. 2 less than a number is 10, okay? Then, how are we going to get rid? I'm not a fan of this, I'm going to ignore this right here. We have n minus 2 is 10. All right, so look at here, we have this plus 2, or sorry, we have this minus 2. We have n subtract 2. Here's our line, by the way. Okay. How do we get rid of this minus 2? We add 2. Okay, I don't like doing it like beside it. They wanted me to write 2 and then plus 2. I don't like that. It seems kind of complicated. I like to do it underneath because it's a little more clear. Okay, whatever you do to one side, we add the other. So here I have a minus 2 and a plus 2, which makes it go away, leaving me just n. on the left side. On the right side, I have 10 plus 2 is 12. Okay, the check. We'd have to check, does 12 is a number, which is 12, minus 2 or less 2 is 10. Does that work? Sure does. So we got it. You should be finding this easy. You did way harder questions than this last year. All right, solving a two-step equation. So the first question says 3x plus 4 equals 5. It asks us to verify it. That just means plug it in and make sure it works. Okay, so let's set up our question. 3x plus 4 makes negative 5. I want you to still, please, if you can, draw that line. It really makes a difference, okay? All right, so here is our variable that we need to isolate. Remember that this is what we want all by itself on the left side, or the right side, but it's on the left, so that's where we'll keep it for now, okay? This is what we want by itself. So two things are happening to it. It's being multiplied by 3, and I know that because it says 3x, and it's being added to 4, okay? So we want to ignore this 3 to start off with because it's attached. Remember, this is just one term, and this is attached. So let's get rid of the unattached part first. And we're adding 4. The opposite is to subtract 4. If you do it to one side, you do it to the other, okay? So this plus 4 and minus 4 go away, leaving us just with 3x. And then careful on this left side, or the right side, sorry, we have negative 5 and we have a negative 4. Or we have negative 5, subtract 4. But either way, we're going more negative, so we're at negative 9. All right. Remember this x we're trying to isolate. So right now, x is being multiplied by 3. So the inverse of that is divide by 3. Do it to one side, you have to do it to the other. So our solution is x, because these cancel, equals negative 3. And then I always like to put some kind of indicator around my answer, okay? Now, when we verify that, it means we're going to plug it back into the question. So we have to make sure that 3 times negative 3 plus 4 makes negative 5. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, plus 4 does equal negative 5. So let's verify. All right, second question. We have 2 times negative 2 plus w makes 18. So, do you remember what the 2 times this negative 2 plus w means? It means 2 times, and we've already covered this. Remember that it means we're going to have to expand. So we're going to have negative 4 plus 2w makes 18. So notice, even though I didn't draw my line, look at how I'm lining up my equal signs, okay? Draw the line if it helps, but if you don't want to draw the line, that's okay, but you have to line up your equal signs. Okay, the 2 is attached to the w, so I'm going to get rid of the 2 last, and I'm going to get rid of this negative 4, okay? So how do I get a negative 4 to go away? Well, I add it to 4, okay? Because negative 4 and positive 4 is 0. Do it to this side, do it to that side. So I'm left with 2w makes 22. Okay? All right, so I have 2 times w. How do I get rid of that? I divide by 2 so that I can cancel. I do it to one side. I have to do it to the other side. So I end up with w is 11. Put a circle around your answer. All right, let's go back and check. So I'll have 2 times negative 2 plus 11 has to make 18. Negative 2 plus 11 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Got it. Okay, so give it a check. Please go through these questions, pause the video, and then come back to make sure you got them right. All right, so let's go through the check. First of all, number 1 says, what operations would you use to solve each equation? Okay, so remember what I said. We would always leave this to be second, and we would deal with this positive 4. So first we would subtract 4 from both sides, and then we would divide by negative 5. So we would get rid of this 4, and then I'm multiplying by negative 5, so I would divide by negative 5. Okay, B. This is attached, so we do this second. So positive 2, I will subtract 2, and then I will divide by 5. All right, number 2, solve and then verify the equation. It's giving you a little hint here. Use the distributive property to expand 2 times t minus 1. So distribute and expand means make sure that 2 gets multiplied by everything inside of the bracket. So I'm going to say 2 times t and 2 times 1. So I have 2t minus 2 is 12. All right, again, if you like the line, draw it in there. This is attached, so deal with that negative 2 first, okay? If you have subtract 2, add 2. Do it to that side, do it to the other. So I'm left with 2t. I don't know why they left that space there. Equals 14. Divide by 2, divide by 2. T is 7. Now, we have the answer. So they say, hey, let's go ahead and substitute t equals 7 into the equation. Now, they love this left side, right side stuff. I don't like that at all. I don't find that helpful. Let's get rid of that, and let's just plug it in and make sure that it works. My question was 2t minus 1 has to equal 12. So, since I said t7, I got to check. Does 2, 7, because t is 7, minus 1 make 12? That's what I'm checking. Well, 7 minus 1 is 6. Multiply it by the 2. Does that make 12? Sure does. Okay, so that's how I'd like you to check. Don't bother with this left side, right side. You can ignore that stuff in your booklet. Okay, so you're going to get started on your 6.1 practice. Make sure that you have completed your 6.1 skill builder, and then I want you to go online and get that 6.1 quiz completed to give yourself feedback to see how you're doing. Okay, see you later.